Well, hi everyone. Gary McArdle here, and today I'm with Sandy Eddy, who is a realtor right here in Gig Harbor. We're going to be talking to her today about Gig Harbor homes and Gig Harbor real estate in general. Hi, Sandy. How are you today?
Hi, great, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, before we get into the Gig Harbor homes part of our discussion, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to let the folks learn a little bit about you. And actually, this is something I don't know about you, even though we've known each other for some time. Are you a native of Washington?
Actually, Gary, I am, and I think that's why I'm here in Gig Harbor. That's why I live in Gig Harbor, and that's why I chose to sell homes in this area, Gig Harbor, Tacoma, because since I was born here, I believe it's just the best place to live, work, and play that you could ever possibly choose.
Wow. Well, that answers my next three questions, so that's okay too. I'm going to get into a few questions then and talk about some Gig Harbor homes and Gig Harbor properties. So you just throw out your best answer to me, and hopefully we can educate some folks out there about what's happening here in Gig Harbor. How does that sound?
That sounds great, Gary. Let's do it.
Okay. So what is it that makes Gig Harbor such a great place to live?
Actually, Gary, I think since I'm an outdoor enthusiast, I
Hmm.
think it's the miles of shoreline that surround our community. The views of Mount Rainier, the views of the Puget Sound area and the ferries going by, but also our parks, our communities. It's just woven into with the greatest people around.
Well, it is quite a place to live, and I've lived in this area for 30 years, so I couldn't agree with you more. Maybe you could do this. Could you elaborate a little bit more on the kind of parks and recreational opportunities that are available here in Gig Harbor?
Sure, Gary. Our community parks are just wonderful. We have community parks and then we have our natural area parks. We actually have 10 waterfront parks in the area,
Wow, I didn't
which
know that.
makes for miles of shoreline that's public accessible. And we have three really large community parks. Our newly formed Penn Met Park District is constantly looking for more property, and they have three parks underway. So we're very park oriented.
Hey, and parks and recreation are very important to people, and it sounds like you know a lot about the parks around here. You've probably been to most of them, I would imagine.
Yep.
And why don't you talk a little bit about the schools? You know, families thinking about moving here. Schools is kind of an important issue to them. What can you tell us about the schools in Gig Harbor?
Sure, the Gig Harbor school system is called the Peninsula School District. It comprises 15 schools and about 8,700 students.
Wow,
So it's nicely sized. The school district is considered one of the strongest and most innovative districts in the state of Washington.
really?
Yep.
That's pretty amazing. You know, I knew they had good schools out here. I didn't realize they were rated so highly.
It's one of the reasons people strongly consider a move to Gig Harbor.
Okay, and a good reason it is. Okay, moving on. You know, folks have to buy groceries and clothes and everything else. When I moved out here 30 years ago, there was practically no place to go shopping. Can you talk about the shopping a little bit? What kind of shopping opportunities are there in Gig Harbor?
Sure, I think that we've done a great job in that respect as a city. We still have the small town charm of the village shops on the waterfront in the downtown area of Gig
Mm-hmm.
Harbor, which is the center for boating and also strolling. There's a few parks in that area too. But we also have a new area called Uptown, which has some more uptown stores such
Right.
as J. Jill and Ann Loft. There's a new theater in that complex also. So we've got the old and the new, and it's a nice mix.
You know, and if you're a movie nut like I am, you got to just love that theater. It's
Oh,
just gorgeous.
yeah, it's great.
You know, you just hit on something about walking and strolling down the harbor. You know, I noticed a lot of folks strolling down there. I think Gig Harbor is a very health conscious community. As a matter of fact, I think more and more people are becoming that way. But can you kind of talk a little bit about the types of activities, things that people could do to be healthy in Gig Harbor and that kind of lifestyle?
Sure. I think that type of lifestyle is really one of the reasons people select Gig Harbor also. not only can you see people strolling in the village along the waterfront areas and things like that, but we have a brand new YMCA that was
That's
built
right.
2 years ago that is a great facility. Also, we have a strong biking hiking trail.
Hmm.
It's called the Cushman Trail.
Right.
They've just added 2.5 more miles to its already existing 5, and
Wow.
there's plans to go further. It's a completely paved, 4 foot wide biking, hiking, walking trail that starts from practically the Narrows Bridge and goes to the other shopping center, which is where Home Depot and Target and things like that
Up
are.
in Gig Harbor North.
Right.
You know, I've walked that trail. Never the whole thing in one day, though. I have to admit, I have to work up to that, right? It is quite, and yeah, it's nice. It's a beautiful sized trail, all paved the whole way, so there's no
Right.
tripping on rocks or potholes or anything.
It's
So,
great for dog walkers too. We're dog walking oriented city also.
Sandy, you mentioned something else a second ago, and I hadn't even thought of, and I feel kind of dumb for this. You talked about the boating opportunities. I mean, duh, here we are right in Gig Harbor, and yeah, boating opportunities. As a matter of fact, I've dropped my boat in the water out there. What kind of amenities are there for boaters?
Gary, it's a boater's paradise. We have, along with the miles of saltwater shorelines, we have sheltered harbors and bays for those that want to be near the water. There's also plenty of opportunities for moorage actually in the village in the heart of downtown Gig Harbor.
Yeah. Now, what if somebody has a smaller boat and they don't want to moor it, all season long? Maybe a little sport boat or fishing boat. What are there good places to drop them in the water? I know I've used one, but I've only owned a boat for 1 year, so
You've probably used the one right in downtown Gig Harbor there, which gives you access to the entire beautiful harbor.
it's gorgeous. Yeah, it is. And if you go in there, boy, you can see all around. It's just a beautiful views
Right,
and such.
right, Gary. If you don't want to moor your boat, or if it's trailerable, and you're a day use type boater, you can drop it right into the Gig Harbor Bay area. There's a boat ramp right there. Gary, there's several other boat ramps out near Purdy, Fox Island, and Willamette Bay for people to use.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of fun for the boaters out there. So hopefully they can get out here and enjoy our beautiful shorelines and the beautiful water that we have out here. Well, Sandy, with so many people on the fence, what can you tell them about this market we're in today?
Gary, homeownership is still on the rise. It's still the dream and the goal of most people. And anyone who wants to control where they live and actually contribute to their best interest later in life um, would consider buying a home. When you combine housing prices and the great interest rates right now, there truly hasn't been a better time when you've gotten more for your money.
That's an excellent point. The combination of low prices and low interest rates really increases the buying power for anybody that's interested in owning their own home today.
Absolutely, and it's a great time for move-up buyers and also first-time home buyers.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So people should actually get off the fence then, is what you're saying, and start taking a look around.
Well, why rent today when their house payment could equal their rent payment? Why not own?
There you go. There you go. Okay, so just why don't you just briefly, since we're talking about buying homes, just talk briefly about what kind of price ranges are available in Gig Harbor.
I think that Gig Harbor has a reputation for being a higher priced community because of all the waterfront homes. And you can spend $4 million in Gig Harbor. But the thing that people need to know is that you can afford a first time home in Gig Harbor also. We have a range of about 200. 200,000 would get you into something that's nice and livable here.
Well, that's great. I think you're right. I think a lot of people do think that Gig Harbor is just out of their price range before they even start looking. So it's for 200,000 to 4 million, huh? Whatever you
Right.
can afford,
We do
right?
have that $200,000 inventory. The $200,000 to $300,000 can buy a lot of home here in Gig Harbor.
A lot more than it did a few years ago.
Absolutely.
Okay. Something else I get asked about from time to time is foreclosures. There's a lot of talk about foreclosures on the news and everywhere else. Are there any of those kinds of bargains here in Gig Harbor?
Absolutely. Yeah, like any community, there are some foreclosures, and I know about them. I search the market every day. So if someone's interested in something like that, they should get in touch with me right away.
Okay, we'll help them do that a little bit later on. Something else we touched on just briefly was the advantages of buying a home in almost anywhere today, not just Gig Harbor, but can you touch on that a little bit? And maybe some people aren't quite as familiar as what the benefits are to buying and owning a home.
Well, with the interest rates being so low and the prices so low, Gary, it doesn't make sense to pay rent when you can own.
And there's other benefits too, aren't there, like tax benefits and that kind of thing?
That's right.
Now, of course, we want to advise people to always talk to their tax advisor before making a decision so they understand how it affects them. But, between the tax breaks you get from the federal government and the pure benefits of homeownership, I think it makes a lot of sense for people to take a look at making a move. Finally, we're going to wrap it up pretty quick here, Sandy. Um, Somebody that is seriously thinking about going out and buying a house, what can you tell them would be the most important attributes in selecting a real estate agent?
Actually, Gary, they need to make sure that their agent is local, lives local, knows what is going on in the community, and knows the inventory. That means look for a full-time agent who lives in the area that they're selling in and is in touch with both buyers and sellers.
Wow, okay, that's fantastic. So look for local is the key word there, right?
Homegrown.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Well, I know that you're from around here. You're born and raised here, and so I can't think of anybody that would be better. And listen, Sandy, I want to thank you for being with us today, helping out so many others learn more about Gig Harbor. And of course, we've really just scratched the surface. So if someone wanted to contact you, as we just talked about, regarding buying or even selling a home, how would they be able to get in touch with you?
Gary, they can certainly give me a call anytime at 253-226-9915 or go to my website, sandyeddy.com.
Okay, and we'll make sure that those get up on the screen. And Sandy, just thanks again for being with us. And this is Gary McArdle signing off.